Welcome back to First Take's training camp tour, and tomorrow we head to Richmond to visit with the Redskins. Then we go down to Tampa for the Bucks. Looking forward to that. Check it out all week. First Take is going camping, and today we are so happy to be in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. We are with the Steelers, and we're so lucky. We've had absolutely a beautiful day out here, and thrilled to be joined by Super Bowl winning coach. You don't really need any introduction to this audience, though. Mike Tomlin, entering his 10th year. Thank you for making time for us.
Glad to be on with you guys.
We really appreciate it. Coach, we know in the NFL it's next man up league. This offense is on pace to be one of the best ever in the NFL. Obviously, suspension 4 games for Le'Veon and then Martavis Bryant out. Who has to step up?
You know, I think we're going to be defined by our depth, and I think that's always the case. You know, sometimes adversity comes to you in different forms, whether it's suspensions or injuries or a combination of both. The emergence of young guys, the development of young guys always excites me, and I'm seeing guys taking the necessary step to help us in those areas. Guys like Sammy Coates, who's, you know, his growth and development over the last 12 months has been highly documented. But more importantly than that, we're seeing it day to day out here now as we begin the process of building our team for this year.
Coach, I'm looking at Sammy Coates. I'm looking at Mark Sweeten. I got a lot of confidence in them with Martavis Bryant being out. Even though Le'Veon Bell's not going to be there for the first 4 games in all likelihood, I'm looking at D'Angelo Williams. We know what he could do. We know what this offense could do with Big Ben, and Pouncey being there helps that offensive line. I'm looking at your defense. You and I talked about this last year. I had concerns about the defense and the passing, you know, the secondary. You drafted Burns. You got this kid. I think it's Sean Davis. I forgot his name.
Sean Davis.
Yes, that's right. I got it right. Talk to me about what you feel about your defense, because I'm really not concerned about the offense. It's your defense I'm worried about.
I'm excited about the growth and development of the defense, and those are 2 very new guys that you mentioned, and their acquisition and development is going to be critical. But it's the young guys that have been here that are continuing to grow and develop and hopefully emerge and take the next step in their careers are the real reason why we're excited. Guys like Stephon Tuitt and Ryan Shazier are no longer young developing guys. They got to be cornerstones of this unit, and from what we've seen thus far, they appear to be ready to take that step.
Bud Dupree, too. You feel the same way about Bud Dupree, right?
No question.
Okay.
Coach, when you were first announced as the Steelers head coach, and I'm like Stephen A., my first love as a team actually were the Steelers, because when I was a kid, you know, Mean Joe Green was on the Great Space Coasters, right? The Steelers won the Super Bowl every year. And I'm like, who's Mike Tom? And you get up, Steelers football, run the ball, stop the run. I said, oh, okay, I could go with this guy. This guy, I could see why players would. It must particularly gall you in terms of your hard-nosed kind of mentality and sensibility when your defense is soft, when it's good. How does a Mike Tomlin team ever get to a place, I'm really curious, where the defense is the problem?
Well, we didn't suggest that people ran on us successfully, so let's
It is a secondary. It is a secondary.
There's a certain feeling when they throw the ball over the top of you. You hate that,
right.
But nobody running through us, and that's remained the same.
Fair point.
I'll let the stats speak for themselves in that regard. So, but to your point, we do want the defense to be a strength of our football team, and the reason why we've won. The makeup of our team hadn't been such over the last several years, but at the end of the day, man, we got to let egos and our vision of how we win to the side some and do what's required to get out of stadiums with W's and play to our strengths. And in recent years, the offense has been our strength, and we can't hate that.
Yeah, I know you hate losing. You always hate losing. You're a Super Bowl champion. You've taken the team to 2 Super Bowls as this team's coach. I know you don't like losing. But last year when y'all lost to Denver in that divisional playoff game, it seemed to hit you when I watched you in the postgame. It seemed to hit you just a touch harder than other losses in the past have hit you. Talk to me about why it appeared to be that way.
Because I thought that group had the unique closeness required to be world champs. And forget playmaking ability and the things that you do inside a stadium. I thought that group had the unique closeness that was required for us to be world champs. They told each other the truth. They held each other accountable. We weren't perfect. We made mistakes, but we quickly acknowledged them and we moved on from them. And those characteristics that really revealed themselves over the course of the journey is what created those feelings.
Did you find yourself, and I know you're not one of those guys about ifs and could-haves and would-haves, but it had to sit up there and just pause you for a second. If Ben Roethlisberger was healthy, if he wasn't fighting through some stuff, if Antonio Brown, you know, hadn't gotten concussed by Vontaze Burfict, if he was available in that particular game, do those kind of thoughts enter your pragmatic mind, even in moments like that?
After the fact, you know, when I get a little distance away from the scenario, I can assess it in that way. I don't know that I allow myself to to acknowledge those type things in the midst of it. I'm just paid to overcome issues such as the ones you mentioned, and so is our team, and we embrace the responsibility that comes with our positions in that area.
Coach, by the resume, by the record, Bill Belichick's the best coach in the NFL, maybe in history. You are one of the top coaches in the NFL, but a lot of people's favorite coach. Like, you happen to be my favorite coach. I'm a Giants fan. And when you talk to players and personnel around the league, and you mention that, they all say the players love playing for Mike Tomlin. What does that mean for you, that players love to play for you?
Man, we all know our responsibility and what we have in front of us in here on a day-to-day and week-to-week basis. That is what it is. It's okay. We might as well have fun while we do it. And along those same lines, I also believed in being upfront and telling them the truth. And I think those are two prongs, if you will, of my approach that I think players appreciate. We try to have as much fun as we can in the midst of the work, and we acknowledge and talk truthfully about things we need to talk about.
Coach, changing gears real quickly, a few weeks ago, I was on vacation at that time. He was about to come on the show. It was in the news. We weren't on the air, but a lot of news was being made about the Rooney Rule in the National Football League. We heard Tony Dungy even speak about it from the standpoint that the original intent of the rule wasn't something that was being exercised in this day and age. People look at you. Obviously, we're here with Pittsburgh. It's the Rooney's family, top-notch, first tier of the NFL, and we know what they mean to the sport of football, and you being here, it just epitomizes and personifies everything that their goal was about in inserting, implementing that rule. What are your thoughts about what's been going on in the National Football League as it pertains to the paucity of African Americans being hired?
I'm so glad you brought it up. I mean, I have many thoughts, and I think there are many elements of this discussion that needs to be chewed on by all of us. The original intent and the spirit of the rule being one thing, not to dictate the process, but to simply slow the process down, to encourage people that want to follow the spirit of the rule to take time to get to explore worthy candidates. But to me, there are other elements of the discussion that are developing quickly that aren't being discussed as much. The utilization of search firms in the hiring process eliminates some of the transparency that makes the upkeep of the spirit of the rule easier. I'd be interested in peeling back the curtain and having open discussions about why people choose to use search firms to make hires, right, and what the process of the search firms are, and who the decision-making people within the search firm game are. There's so many elements of this discussion that needs to be had, and whenever the subject is brought up, I'm always willing to take part. I appreciate you allowing me to
bring it up again on radio today too. Coach, you got to come back on, and we'll discuss it more. You're a class act. Thank you for having us, and your team always must watch. So looking forward to that this season. Best of luck. First take done here in Latrobe. Tomorrow to Richmond for Redskins camp. Stay tuned. Everybody have a wonderful day. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, Coach.